Support WrestleTalk!
Follow us on Twitter.
As the clock struck midnight on December 31st, something momentous happened. The turgid, horrible trudge that was 2018 just slipped out of existence, and 2019 was born. Slipping into existence alongside it was All Elite Wrestling, unless of course you were elsewhere in the world, because time works differently there. But All Elite Wrestling is the new promotion from Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. With this exciting new venture comes a whole load of speculation. Just who have Rhodes and the Jackson 2 signed to compete in AEW, aside from Britt Baker? Realistically, they're likely to have the pick of the world's top independent stars, especially if the rumours of the contractual floor being a good six-figure deal are true. With money on the line and the chance to potentially be a big star in a fledgling promotion that has a lot of eyes on it, will WWE stars be tempted to jump ship and head on over to AEW? Well, that's for us to wait and see. But for now, let's have a look at some WWE stars who have hinted that they may be open to negotiating with the Elite. I'm Fakidor Laurie Blake, and this is me saying I'd be open to signing with All Elite Wrestling too if you're watching, Cody. Oh yeah, and here are some WWE folks who could go to All Elite. Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder came one match away from going the entire 365 days of 2018 without having a single match on Raw. You know, the brand he's a member of. If he hadn't been included in the Intercontinental Championship #1 contender Battle Royal on New Year's Eve, it would have been a whole year without a single woo woo woo. So the next time you said the name Zack Ryder, it would have been more like ho ho ho. There's bad jokes and there's that one. Ryder is a close friend of Cody Rhodes, the new Executive Vice President of All Elite Wrestling, and the two have had plenty of back and forths on Twitter over the past few months, which have led many to believe that Ryder could be on his way out of WWE. Replying to Ryder's tweet, which was pointing out that he was one Raw away from not wrestling on TV in 2018, Cody said, "Some perspective for you, babe. Several years ago, the biggest star in the world in Madison Square Garden, The Rock, was standing in the ring and the crowd was chanting, 'We want Ryder.' Whatever you do now, do it without fear." I mean, Pam went and did that Pratt Institute thing. For those of you unaware, the Pam reference is about Pam from the US office, who works for a paper supplier but applies to follow her dream and go to art school, which is obviously a massive move for her because she didn't know whether it was going to be a success or not. Could this therefore be a suggestion from Cody that Zack should just put all of his eggs in one basket and go on over to AEW? Because Ryder is undoubtedly a very talented superstar and he's very naturally over as a babyface. And his Intercontinental Championship win at WrestleMania 32 is enough to prove that he could be a bigger star in the right environment. Though just to go back to that Pam from The Office reference, she did end up working back at Dunder Mifflin in the end of the series though, so Beasley? Tye Dillinger, 10. Is about the number of matches that this guy has had this year. Tye Dillinger, much like Zack Ryder, is someone that you'd be forgiven for forgetting about given the complete lack of him on TV this past year. Aside from a couple of appearances as someone to take pinfalls in US title feuds and having his finger snapped by Randy Orton, so he's now just a 9, Tye hasn't really had much to do on the main roster. Following the announcement of AEW, a fan tweeted Tye asking him what he thought. To which Tye responded, "What a time to be a wrestling fan. More wrestling for you all." What a time indeed. And what a time to be a wrestler, perhaps. Because here, could Tye's enthusiasm in the tweet be his way of hinting to Cody and the Bucks that he'd be interested in a move to their new promotion, because you'll have to be snicky with these contract things. Another fan then explained to Dillinger why he thinks he should move, saying, "Would really consider if I were you. Yeah, the money is nice and cozy, but you got to start getting some feuds going. We barely see you on TV. You're being wasted on the roster, only doing live events. Think about it at least." A near zero punctuation review of Tye's WWE career. Tye replied, "This is the same old, same old. I've considered plenty. I control what I can. Attitude, physique, mindset, and work ethic. I know how hard I work, and I'm well aware no one gets to see that a lot. I'm sorry for that, but you're asking me for things out of my hands. Enjoy the show. Well, he's not exactly denied that he's considering his options at the very least. A move away from WWE would surely give Tye more time in the ring, but as he suggests, he needs to decide what he wants at this point in his career. And if he does stay with WWE, the Rumble's coming up. And they've got a number 10 slot. Just do that again. Gallows and Anderson. Well, would you look at that? More underutilized wrestlers. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson burst on the WWE scene in 2016, but have since done very little other than an uninspiring run with the Raw Tag Team Championships and shouting "nerd" at people backstage and seemingly existing in their own Galandaland of in-jokes about hot Asian wives and having abs. Because before WWE, the duo were actually a really big deal in NJPW for a whole 3-year period between 2013 and 2016, and so will have had plenty of contact and probably built a close relationship with the Young Bucks, the new executive vice presidents of All Elite Wrestling. Surprise, surprise. But yes, the Good Brothers could become prodigal sons, as there have been reports that New Japan are keen on bringing the duo back to Japan when their WWE contracts expire. But could the new lure of AEW make them consider a different move altogether? Because as former members of the Bullet Club, they're sure to be high on the list of people that AEW would want to sign. And reports currently suggest that Gallows and Anderson's contracts are set to expire in September this year. And as there are allegedly no plans at all to re-sign the tag team once their contracts are up, they could well be looking for a new permanent home. So although there has been little in the way of social media speculation for either man in this particular tag team, their history with the Bucks and the Bullet Club could make them serious candidates for AEW contracts. Dolph Ziggler. Unsurprisingly, Dolph Ziggler is the only person on this list that hasn't been booked into oblivion by WWE, with the company showing him an uncharacteristically large amount of faith in his nearly 15-year career. Not as much faith to give him a proper title run, but more faith than Tye Dillinger, who is allowed to count. In fact, he's not even allowed to count, he just says 10. That's not to say, however, that there haven't been times where it's felt like Dolph is on the verge of leaving WWE in favour of more favourable climbs. Ones where the titles can be won, and you don't keep getting kicked in the face by Drew McIntyre. Just over a year ago, we thought the end might be nigh for Dolph, who was reportedly unhappy with the way he was being booked, demanding to be used better. Because it's hardly a secret that he's easily one of the most solid workers in the entire company right now, so you could hardly blame him for wanting a bit more of the spotlight. And he's called the show off, for crying out loud. It's his gimmick, and now also real life. And his gimmick... I'm confused. My brain hurts. Earlier on in this list, we mentioned the tweet that Cody sent to Zack Ryder after Ryder mentioned his lack of Raw appearances. And it just so happens that one Dolphus Ziggler himself also chimed in with his thoughts on the matter, saying, "Great call, but no way he gets that reference. Maybe tell him to defend himself the way Kevin defended his home against the Wet Bandits. A series of booby traps, that's a great gimmick. A table on top of a ladder, on top of a chair, on top of a pole that then drops on you as you walk underneath it. And all the while the crowd are chanting, Goldberg, Rube Goldberg." In the tweet, you'll have noticed that Dolph said it was a great call. Could Dolph be thinking the same thing as Zack and reckoning that a move away from WWE is a perfectly reasonable thing to consider when you're not really used properly? A zag when everyone thought he would zig, if you will. Of course, the move would be a risk, particularly for someone who is still used as an upper mid-card star in WWE. But if he were to leave, it would be a huge coup for Cody and pals. The Revival. Hey, look, we're back at stars WWE doesn't know how to book properly. While they were on NXT, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder were compared to the Brainbusters. High praise indeed, and praise which was well deserved. They were hard-hitting, no-nonsense guys who had great matches with anyone they stepped into the ring with. No flips, just flipping excellent grups. Since coming to the main roster, however, they've only been responsible for me banging my head on the table while I watch them being beaten by the B team by accident multiple times. I'm not even going to go into the Lucha House rules. I'm not even going to go into it because my brain can't take it. So really, there's no question that the Revival could use their talents outside of WWE just a little bit better than getting used currently. Sure, they got a title shot against Gable and Rude coming up on Raw, but that doesn't necessarily change the way they're being booked, does it? I mean, all the B-Team stuff was for the tag titles. For the tag titles. The duo have shown themselves to be quite friendly with Matt and Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks, something they don't exactly hide on social media. They have teased matches against each other on multiple occasions, for example. Once, Matt tweeted, "One day, we'll wrestle the Revival and everyone will rejoice. Remember this tweet." We did, it's in this video. Soon after, Dash Wilder tweeted, "One day, we'll wrestle the Young Bucks and everyone will rejoice. Remember this tweet?" We did. It was only a month ago. Boo! It's all so cryptic. I wonder what these tweets could mean. Poirot, where are you? Help me. I can't fathom what is going on. Joking aside though, we would certainly rejoice at this match. Two of the best tag teams in the world right now, having a good old go at it. But whether this will actually lead to anything in AEW is another question entirely. Jim Ross. Yeah, that's all right. Good old Jim Ross, JR, is still signed to a WWE deal that expires in March. And he's probably the most likely name on this list to be heading to AEW once it does expire, because all of the rumors suggested that Jim was involved in All Elite Wrestling from the off. And according to Raja.com, AEW are negotiating with Ross to be heavily involved in the promotion, both as a commentator and backstage. Previous reports suggested he may be involved in scouting talent and putting out feelers to those he has previously worked with, which is almost everyone in wrestling nowadays, so no one is off limits. Ross hasn't appeared on WWE TV since being part of the pre-show panel for the Greatest Royal Rumble in April. Load of gubbins that was. And WWE have blocked Ross from calling any NJPW shows until the end of his contract, which included Friday's Wrestle Kingdom show. And there have been no suggestions that he has any plans to extend his stay with the WWE, so could well be joining Cody and the Bucks as soon as he can. By God. Bloomin' heck! Wrestle Kingdom 13 was a bit good, wasn't it? Was it? I don't know, I'm pre-recording this, I have absolutely no idea. And if you don't either, or you just want to know what we thought, click the video on screen now for a full review. And give us a subscribe to stay up to date on all of the latest wrestling news. I've been El Fakidor, and that was Lucha.